Skagos is a massive and mountainous island east of the Bay of Seals. It has gray peaks that can be seen from sea, and the currents around the island are said to be treacherous, with rocks that can crack a ship's hull like an egg. Sailing around the island, the remnants of some poor ship that found this out firsthand can sometimes be seen. Skagosi, the people of Skagos, are descended from the first men, and are a huge, hairy, foul-smelling people that wear skins, furs, and on-tan hides. It is believed they live in caves and mountain strongholds, ride unicorns into battle, and that they have either ebonese or giant blood mixed in with their first men blood. Skagos means stone in the old tongue, and the Skagosi call themselves stoneborn because of that. After unknown centuries of raiding and trading on the mainland, they were finally brought into the Northern Kingdom when King Brandon Stark IX destroyed their ships and forbade them from the sea. There's a lot of speculation on the Stoneborn and what they're actually like. What is known of them primarily comes from The Edge of the World, a collection of legends and tales compiled by Maester Boulder. This is because most people aren't willing to take the risk of discovering their culture. The people of Skagos are as likely to kill you as they are to trade with you, and the island can scare even the most seasoned smuggler and pirate. Though there are ships that do make call on the island, and when they do trade, it's usually pelts, obsidian blades, arrowheads, and unicorn horns. But the rest of the Northerners have little love for the Stoneborn, considering them no better than wildlings and calling them skags. In return, the Skagosi have very little love for the rest of the North, or their warden. They've rebelled against their Stark Lord and his vassals occasionally, with the last big rebellion happening during Darin II's reign that resulted in the death of thousands, including the current Lord Stark at the time. It's still questionable how loyal to the North the Skagosi currently are. However, even with questionable loyalty, they have served in the Night's Watch. 1,000-ish years ago, a Kral, a member of a noble clan in Skagos, became Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Another Skagosi, a Stain, also rose to become a First Ranger, though died a short amount of time after. Because of their relative isolation from the rest of Westeros, it's believed that they have retained more of their First Men Children of the Forest traditions, such as Lord's right to First Night, if we can believe Lord Bolton, and possibly human sacrifice to their werewoods. However, the dark rumors of what happens on the island are even more frightening than these old traditions. Some maesters believe the Stoneborn may lure passing ships to their destruction with false lights. And then there's rumors of them being cannibals and feeding upon the flesh of men during winter. There also seems to be a popular belief that the Skagosi warriors eat the hearts and livers of men they kill. There's a particularly gruesome story about the Feast of Skane, where a Skagosi war fleet landed on the smaller nearby Isle of Skane. There they raped and carried off the Skanish women while slaying the Skanish men. Then they threw a feast, consuming the fallen's flesh for 2 whole weeks. This story may or may not be true, but the island of Skane remains uninhabited, with overgrown foundations and tumbled stones that prove men once lived there. But there are happier rumors, like unicorns. But of course, maesters scoff at the idea of unicorns actually existing in Skagos. They believe the unicorn horns sold or traded by merchants are most likely horns from a type of whale hunted by whalers of Ib. And even though there are horns sold by the Skagosi that look different from those traditionally sold by merchants from other lands, that still isn't enough proof for them of unicorns. On the occasions a sailor has been brave enough to trade with the Skagosi, they have claimed to see the Stoneborn riding on great, shaggy horned beasts, monstrous mounts so sure-footed that they have been known to climb the sides of mountains. Unfortunately, no creature or skeleton has ever been recovered to be studied at Old Town. Fun Skagos-related facts: there are only a few known houses that reside on the island. House Kral of Deepdown, House Magner of King's House, and House Stain of Driftwood Hall. And the Night's King is thought by some to be from the House Magner of Skagos. Lastly, Skagos and modern Westeros. If you don't want a Dance with Dragons spoilers, turn back now. Skagos is not mentioned often in the books, only here and there by some characters, but the biggest plotline involves Rickon Stark, the youngest of the Stark children. Rickon has supposedly been taken to Skagos by Osha, and Davos is given a mission to retrieve the child. Maybe next book we'll get to read about Rickon riding around on unicorns, with less anger issues. So that is Skagos, the crazy cannibal island we're most likely visiting next book. I already made a separate 5 favorite Skagos theory video that I'll publish later this week. I want to keep my theory and history videos as separate as possible, so if you're looking to discuss theories behind the unicorns or why Rickon is there, come back later this week for that video. This will be on an off day, so not this Wednesday. And come back every Sunday and Wednesday for Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire videos, soon Fridays and maybe Mondays for Star Wars, and eventually comic videos when I learn how to use technology better, which may mean never. Giveaway winner is announced this Wednesday.